If the data were to continue to come in stronger than we expect, and we were to conclude that we needed to raise rates more than is priced into the markets or than we wrote down at our last group of forecasts in December, then we would certainly do that. We would certainly raise rates more.
Okay, so today, for people who aren't familiar with the FOMC, who actually is on the FOMC?
So the U.S. Central Bank consists of a board of governors here in Washington. There are 7 governors. Those governors are nominated by the president and confirmed by the Senate, and we serve terms that are not synced up with the election cycle. So we're independent. There are also 12 reserve banks around the country which have a degree of independence, and so each reserve bank is led by a president who works there full time. All 12 of them sit on the FOMC. So that's 19 people sit on the FOMC. So it's quite a large committee, of which 12 vote in any given year. The Reserve Bank presidents vote on a rotating basis, except New York, which votes every year.
So when you vote, do you vote at the beginning of an FOMC meeting and then just kind of have discussions afterwards, or do you wait to the very end and then you vote?
No, we vote at the end. I mean, the FOMC meeting process takes, more than a full week. I'm talking to all of the participants, all 18 other ones, and staff has sent around memos, and there's something called the Teal Book, which is the staff's assessment of the of the economy and international economy and monetary policy and all that. Then we have an extensive discussion on the morning of the first day about the economy. Everybody talks about that. On the second day, we talk about monetary policy, and then we vote on monetary policy at around noon on the second day.
So does the chairman of the Federal Reserve Board speak first and say, here's what I think, or does he wait until the end and say, well, thanks for what you think, but let me tell you what I think? What do you do?
So different chairs have done it different ways, and so I've tended to do what my immediate predecessor did, I think. Well, this is what I do. I speak last on the sort of the economic go-around. So everyone else talks about what they think about the economy and in their district, for example, if they're a Reserve Bank president. And I listen to all that, and then I give my comments at the end, and I kind of sum up what people have said. And then I speak first on monetary policy.
Okay, so you've said your inflation rate target is 2%. But why 2% and not 3%? 3%, could be tolerable, really. I mean, for most of organized history, 3% is considered okay. Why do you want 2%?
So 2% is the global standard, and that is our objective, 2% as measured by the PCE index. And that's not something we're looking at changing. That isn't going to change.
That's not going to change?
Not going to change, no.
But, okay, so you need to get to 2%, and your goal to get there is by what period of time would you like to get there? Well,
we say that we're using our tools to get there over time. If you look at our forecasts, we expect 2023 to be a year of significant declines in inflation, and it's actually our job to make sure that that's the case. But I would tell you that, with inflation, headline PCE inflation is running about 5%. This is on a 12-month basis. Core is running at 4.4. My guess is it will take certainly into not just this year, but next year to get down close to 2%.
Now, the quantitative easing program has increased the balance sheet, I guess, of the Fed. And what is your balance sheet now?
I think it's $8.4 trillion.
You must sound like you know. Sounds like $8.4 trillion.
That was yesterday's number.
Okay, all right, $8.4 trillion. What would you like it to get down to over the next year or two? Is there some lower number?
So we are in the process of shrinking the balance sheet actively, actually passively, I should say. So what happens is as Treasury securities on our balance sheet mature up to a monthly cap, the balance sheet shrinks in that amount. Same thing with mortgage-backed securities as they are prepaid or right. So the balance sheet is shrinking. In terms of the target level of it, we haven't put a specific dollar number on it. The idea is we're in a regime of ample reserves. Reserves are basically deposits at the reserve banks. And when we get close to that level where we feel that reserves are ample, kind of where we were before the pandemic, then we'll slow down and we'll sort of test where we are. But it'll be a couple of years, we think, till we get to that level.
The Fed does not sell securities. They waits for them to mature, and then you just cash them in, right? You're not in the market selling securities that are not yet mature. Is that correct?
That is correct. It's also correct, though, that we've said we would consider sales of mortgage-backed securities, but I will tell you that's not something that is on the list of active things being actively considered.
So some people are worried about the federal debt limit and that we might not be able to extend it on time. We have $31.4 trillion of debt. Are you a little worried about the debt limit not getting extended?
So the debt limit is really something for the fiscal authorities to deal with. The Fed, our only role in this is that we're the fiscal agent of the Treasury Department. We're not a policymaker on that. And I will just say this. This really can only end one way, and that is with Congress raising the debt ceiling in a timely fashion so that the U.S. can pay all of its bills when and as due. That's what has to happen. And if that doesn't happen, no one should think that the Fed has the ability to shield the financial markets or the economy from the consequences of moving too slow.
So you don't have any program in place ready to go if, in fact, the debt limit isn't passed in time?
This is something that Congress has to deal with.
And the so-called $1 trillion gold coin solution is not one you're in favor of, I guess.
As I said, this ends in only one way,
okay.
And that way is Congress voting to raise the debt ceiling so that the U.S. can pay all of our bills.